Welcome to Corrective Consciousness, episode 110, the podcast where we explore the inanity of pop culture. I'm your host, vysethebold, and this is...
Lotus Prince.
And PyroJackFrost.
Okay, we're moving on to fan reactions now.
Yeah, well...
Actually, so this week, I just got in the mood to talk about, like, really great TV shows with a couple of my friends during the weekend. And so I really just kind of wanted to turn this into the subject of the latest CoreCon. So I wanted to ask you guys, what are your favorite live action TV shows? Now I'm mostly talking about scripted stuff when we're talking about this. So
you're not going into like reality shows or whatever, like American.
Not that anybody would ever
Idol,
say,
or Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, well, to be fair, I mean, Whose Line Is It Anyway? Damn good show.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm talking about, like, you know, a traditional TV show. I'm not talking about, like, you know, Jimmy Fallon, you know, or
my choice is The Price Is Right.
That's scripted.
So I just wanted to start off by saying how much love that I have for the show Fargo. God damn, do I love that show.
that is I've still only seen season 1, but that is a damn good show.
I have not yet watched it.
It won't disappoint. Have you ever seen the movie Fargo?
Yeah.
Okay, so it is not a required viewing, though there are it does share a chronology. It's just very subtle. So I wouldn't have that be a barrier to you watching the TV show. To anybody out there in the audience that may want to watch something really great, it's a really great and quirky TV show. The movie itself was great and quirky, but the TV show kind of amps it up from there.
Yeah.
And it does it in the best ways possible, if you ask me.
And it would have to. The movie's like an hour and a half, 2 hours. The TV show is a season's worth of like 45 to 50 minute episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it has one of my very favorite bad guys in a television show.
He's up there.
Lorne Malvo is one of the best bastards in a TV show that I've ever seen. He is an arch antagonist, like an arch antagonist should be, where he is always there, and when he's there, you do not want to be there.
And not only that, but when Vice says he's one of the best bastards, like, he's not the kind of character you love to hate, but like he's
But that one
good
that you
at
hate to love.
kind of like he's really good at being a villain. Like, you don't want to see him succeed, but you're like, I gotta see what he does next.
It's like kind of like watching somebody who's really good at, like, devil sticks. You know, those things where you flip
You have
around
2 sticks and you flip around the third stick in the middle.
Yeah, like, you have no interest in doing it yourself, but if somebody's really awesome at it, you may even watch them for a whole hour doing it.
Yeah.
This guy is so good at being a bad guy, you just want to see what he'll do next as a bad guy. So, he is a fucking monster.
Yeah.
And he, the thing is, the main character is not a good person. Like the main character that they follow at the beginning of the show. He is not a good person. The person who gets tangled up with him is kind of like an analog. This is Martin Freeman's character. He is kind of like an analog to William H. Macy's character in the movie. But he's a piece of shit in his own way. But he gets tangled up in this guy, and it's one of those situations where the main character is a bad person, so you want to see him get his comeuppance as well.
Probably the best way to boil down, like, I mean, Fargo keeps going, but the best way to boil down season 1 of Fargo is picture the movie. What if the villain were competent?
What if the villain were the bad guy Shigur from No Country for Old
Yeah, that's basically the case. The villain is Shigur from No Country for Old Men, but there are still the Steve Buscemi and the mute guy. Well, he wasn't mute, but he was very reticent. Yeah,
Mr. Wrench.
Yeah, there are analogs to those characters, but they're not the main bad guy level of competent, but they're not fuck-ups like Steve Buscemi and his buddy were.
No, everybody has some level of competency, except for maybe Martin Freeman. Martin Freeman is bad at doing everything.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. This is different from William H. Macy's situation, because the entire Fargo movie was a comedy of errors, and everybody's just like, oh, now what? But the Fargo show is interesting because the William H. Macy analog realizes he's gotten into a situation with his villain, which is like way more than he was prepared for.
Yeah. So the whole idea is you have people that are like world-class bad guys coming into a small town.
Yeah, and the thing is, he's played by Billy Bob Thornton, and I don't know if you like Billy Bob Thornton. He's played a ton of roles too. Yeah. He's played a whole wide range of roles. So you can't say, oh well, Billy Bob Thornton, but like, he is an intimidating villain in this show. Like, he's one of those guys where he's capable of acting, but like, one of the scariest moments in the entire show is him just talking and not actually doing anything. It's like, it's one of those.
Yeah, and his threats are real. Like, they're reality.
Yeah, and even when he doesn't deliver, like, that he would if he wanted to. Like, basically, have you seen Inglourious Bastards?
Yes.
All right, so you know how like half of that movie is just conversations where you're like, oh, something's gonna happen. Oh my god, like, please don't let this blow up. Yeah, like Billy. Now that's not constant in Fargo, but Billy Bob Thornton has a couple of moments where you're just like, please let this scene be over. It's getting too stressful for me.
Yeah, one scene early on in the season has him Colin Hanks pulling him over.
That's what I was talking about. Yes.
Yeah. Colin Hanks is I would say that he's one of the protagonists, if there is him and Solverson.
Yeah, Colin Hanks is the main cop equivalent in Fargo. Like, I mean, he's not the chief.
No, I would say Solverson is.
Solverson?
Yeah.
Oh no, excuse me. You're right.
I would say the female cop is the main. Would be the main good guy.
You're right. The female cop is also the female cop.
Yes, correct, and very much so an analog to Frances McDermott's character in Fargo the movie.
Yeah.
But this there are two cops in the movie that are good cops, like good people that are protagonists. So, and you want them to win, but they are outclassed. They are outclassed in every way. Like, they've never had to deal with something this evil, like, going through their town.
I mean, it's like the cops in the movie, too. Like, I mean, all of the cops are good cops. It's just that you only focus on a couple of them. And again, like, they're dealing with, just
murders and deaths and
they're
underbelly.
They're in or near Fargo, like... This is that, like, the thing the movie kind of almost made fun of with its, like, overly saccharine politeness. So, like, they're dealing with murder, and it's, like, both in the movie and the show, that's not really what they're expecting. Like, they're used to people, like, I mean, Colin Hanks pulls over Billy Bob Thornton for, I think he, like, ran a stop sign or something. Or, like, he didn't yield. It was some basic moving violation. It's just like, hey, buddy, what are you doing? And then Billy Bob Thornton becomes fucking terrifying.
Yeah, he's basically like, you don't want to pull me over. Yeah. You just want to let me go.
Yeah, it was amazing.
And he's so good at saying it that Colin Hanks, who normally wouldn't take shit from anybody, like, is like, oh, man.
Yeah,
like,
I showed that clip to my dad. That was, like, the only clip of the show he ever saw, and he was just like, Jesus. It was amazing.
Yeah, he's a cop, so he normally wouldn't take shit from somebody. But
yeah.
Like, he's just like, oh man, I feel the weight of this guy.
Well, not to mention, again, it's in the Fargo universe, so nobody would give him shit. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Or like maybe the asshole guy of the show, but like he wouldn't be threatening. So, like,
Yeah.
This whole community is used to the community. Billy Bob Thornton is, like, he's a big deal because he's not even from there.
He might even just give him a warning and not even a ticket. Like,
I know, it's
how,
Colin
how
Hanks. Like, come
on. Exactly. But the season culminates in a very satisfying way.
Yeah, it's
extremely
the whole show
satisfying.
is extremely entertaining to watch. I still gotta see seasons 2 and 3, but season 1 was so damn good.
So season 2 is excellent. It is still written very well. What's good about each season is they are self-contained.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
With minor things that carry over. So, Fargo season 1 happens in like 2006. It's supposed to happen like roughly, it's so weird. It's basically in the past of when it originally aired. I think it aired in 2012 or 2013 or something like that.
Yeah.
2014 even, but it took place in like 2006.
Yeah.
So it's like slightly in the past. It's very odd. I've never really seen a show to do something like that. And it, unless it was based off of a specific event.
Yeah.
But the second season takes place in the 70s. And only really involves, like, 2 characters from the first season. And you don't really need to know the backstory of it because it's a prequel season.
Yeah, like, it's one of those cases where if you've seen season 1, like,
It's like cameos.
Yeah, well, you would watch season 2 and you'd be like, oh, I think that was that thing they were alluding to in season 1, but, like, other than that, whatever,
But it's also a really great story, and a really great, like, crime. It's very much a gang, crime family kind of season, which is pretty cool. It's a different take on things. Now, the third season, I wouldn't call it necessarily better than the first one, but it's right up there. It would be open to personal taste whether you like the first one or third one better, but it is such high quality that you'll have the debate.
Okay.
The third season has quite possibly my favorite episode of anything I've ever seen.
Ooh.
In it.
Well, you got my attention.
There's a prison break. There's an episode where a character is being transported from one jail to another, and they somebody comes to intercept the vehicle transported.
Interesting.
And it is one of the best things I've ever seen in my life. I've watched it twice, like, in a row, because it was that good.
Damn.
And I don't ever do that with a TV show, especially an hour-long TV show.
Yeah, I've never heard of you doing that before.
And I will go with a bat and say this is one of my favorite things I've ever seen, ever.
Damn.
It's really good. It could stand on its own being something good, like, without the rest of the season. It's that episode is that good. Out of context, it would be just as good. But it has some of the... It has the same level of tension, we mentioned Inglourious Bastards, as that scene with Leonardo DiCaprio, like, just with Jamie Foxx and Christoph Waltz at the table.
Well, that's
the same level of tension. Oh, I'm sorry, Django.
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 Yeah.
Django
and Inglourious Bastards had that, like, with Django, it was just Leonardo DiCaprio so fucking scary, but with Inglourious Bastards, it's like,
it's the beginning scene.
I know somebody's gonna start shooting. The question is when. Well, it's the beginning scene, but it's also in that German bar where everyone's having a good time. That was also like, too. I think I know who you are, and I think you know that I know. So where are we going from here? And it's like, oh shit.
Yeah, exactly. But definitely watch the series. This one takes place just before the first season. I think.
That's also a prequel. Interesting.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. No, just after the first season. I'm sorry. So it happens in like 2008.
Okay.
So there is a character that is actually in all 3 seasons, but he has a very minor role in the second season, and a pretty major role in number 1 and number 3.
Okay.
Those are the only characters that really carry over. But he's the only character that actually has been in all 3 seasons.
Okay.
So it's a big surprise. I mean, I gave you the only hint, which is his gender, but
I have a guess, but I'm not gonna say it here. I've even though I've only seen season 1, I have a suspicion, but I'll set that aside.
Yeah, well, it's excellent, and it will also gives you a lot of questions and interpretations. For the first time in a while, I've seen a work like a TV show or a movie where they don't answer every question on purpose.
Sure.
And they leave it open for you to decide what's going on. So please, if you love quirky characters and great storytelling and fantastic dialogue, and you like crime drama with a little bit of black humor thrown in, this is the show for you. They're coming out with a 4th season. I don't know what era it's going to be based in. I don't know whether it takes place a long time ago or now. But they basically only make this show when they feel like it.
Yeah.
They don't come out with it clockwork every year. Like the guy who writes it is the producer of the show, and director of the show. So he basically make sure that it's to his liking before he starts it up again, and there's always an all-star cast. Like the first season had Martin Freeman.
That was a great cast. Yeah,
Martin Freeman and Billy Bob Thornton, which are both movie actors. You know, they're big time movie actors,
and Colin
especially
Hanks,
at the time.
whom I've seen in a
Colin
prominent
Hanks.
role in other TV shows. Like he was in season 6 of Dexter.
Yeah, Bob Odenkirk was in there. Who else was in there? Key and Peele were both in there.
Really?
They had minor roles, but they were in multiple episodes, and they were amusing to watch. Yeah, they were like kind of like buddy cops.
Adam Goldberg, who is a character actor who I really like, he was in Inglourious Bastards. And in the second season, Kieran Culkin was there, who was Macaulay Culkin's brother, but also he's more well known as Wallace, Scott Pilgrim's roommate.
Oh my God, that was him?
Yes.
Holy shit. Okay.
Yes. The psychopath from Breaking Bad is in there. The blonde-haired guy. I forget his name. There's actually quite a bit of Breaking Bad crossover with this series,
Nice.
believe it or not. And Ted Danson's in the second season.
Ted Danson. I'm sorry, but like, he's a brilliant reporter, but like, it's unfair to him, but I can't take him seriously since
Becker?
Seinfeld referenced him, and like Curb Your Enthusiasm had him just be a dick, which was like super funny. I think like Larry David was like going through Larry David threw out his trash in Ted Danson's trash can, and Ted Danson got like super mad. He's like, "Throw it in your own trash can! Like, the hell are you doing?" And it was like, what am I watching? It was amazing.
Yeah, he is now married in the show, married to his ex-wife, so he's a main
wow.
character.
Okay.
I actually really recommend the new season of Curb Your Enthusiasm, which is one of the funniest seasons of anything I ever seen.
Nice.
Now that we're talking about that, that would be season 10 of Curb Your Enthusiasm, which returned after being canceled. So
yeah, I mean the show.
Yeah, I've
pretty
been
much
meaning to start
ended.
watching that show.
Yeah, the show had pretty much an ending, but I guess not. There's just another season.
Oh, it's even better now, if you ask
Yeah.
me. This last season was fantastic.
Nice.
So he had a fatwa put on him.
I heard about this, yeah.
From Iran in the very first episode, and it carries through the whole season. So he Larry David is basically worried that like somebody from Iran is going to come and kill him. So, but he even makes a musical about it with the guy who wrote Hamilton. It's,
What?
yeah, it's ludicrous.
What's also great is that isn't even going to be the first musical that Larry David's been in Curb Your Enthusiasm, because he did The Producers, where he was Bialystok.
Yeah. So
Dave Schwimmer was Bloom, and Larry David keeps calling him Schwimmer.
the last episode in particular is super hilarious and has to do with all of that. I definitely recommend it. But having said that, I want you guys to get a chance to get some opinions in here on some recommendations for people here.
All right. I guess, Pyro, you want to go first, or you want me to?
I'll go. I have a few, actually. I'll try to keep it a little bit quicker. So the first one I think we'll all agree on is Arrested Development. That's probably one of my favorite shows.
Is too good.
So good. It's funny because a lot of people really don't like season 4 or 5.
I'm okay with 4, although it was a step down, and there were obvious reasons for why that was the case. They weren't able to film with everyone at once. I'm not done with season 5, and I still prefer seasons 1 through 3, but I'm liking season 5.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. Like, when I first watched 4, and I knew that a lot of people were disliking it, I thought it was actually not bad. It was definitely a different way of filming it. I will say actually that the newer version of 4, where they try to recut it, is I find worse than the original.
Really? I heard that was an improvement.
Only because I've been watching it straight, and it feels really repetitive. Because in the original, like, the next episodes were always like something that you wouldn't actually see the next episode.
Yeah.
But in season 4, the next episode is like what's actually in the next episode, and there's way too many flashbacks or because when you think about it, the original season 4 was, let's say, 16 episodes long. They recut it to be 22 episodes long in a similar format of 1 through 3, so they had to reuse a lot of the footage and a lot of the scenes. So that's why I didn't really like it as much. 5, I actually, part of me is wondering if I like it less than 4, just because I'm starting to actually feel burnt out with Arrested Development, let's say. So maybe they should have just stopped it at season 3 and made us just want another season and just been like, that's all it is.
Like,
that's it.
Like, I'm watching it like 2 or 3 episodes at a time. So, and it's when I see my friend Luminaire. So it can be a little while between watchings. Mm-hmm. So when I do go in, I'm like, yeah. So like I have a different way of going about it, so it doesn't feel as like tired to me.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's not bad, but I think the fact that they had to do these time jumps because of the different, like, actors being older, and then also the fact that Portia de Rosa didn't actually want to be in season 5, so they had to film her as little as possible. Like, there's a lot of complications. Same with like the complications that happen in season 4, where it's kind of like, I know that the fans want it, but there's a limit. That being said, like, it is a great show, and season 1 through 3, like, I've watched seasons 1 through 3 at least like 5 times, and I'm still noticing things that I don't think I'd noticed before. And it's like, whether or not it does callbacks really well or foreshadowing really well, it's really cool because everything seems to be connected. And
well, that's kind of the whole thing right there. Is seasons 4 and 5 were each filmed as individual products, where season 1 seems to have been filmed with season 3 in mind. Like, that whole thing was set up.
Or they just had a lot of things that they could look at when they were making season 3.
Yeah.
That didn't seem too forced. So that's one of them. Another comedy that I was a huge fan of and I watched several times is Scrubs.
I like Scrubs too.
Yeah, I know that like, not only is it because people have said, I think a lot of doctors have said that Scrubs is probably one of the more realistic, let's say, of the hospital shows in terms of what actually goes on in a hospital, other than the comedy, obviously. But the show itself, I always found really funny. And I remember once I was bedridden during my senior year of high school, and I watched like all the seasons of that because it was great.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
No, I was having surgery done, and then when I got home from surgery, I wasn't allowed to move that much. So, but yeah, so
that's when I watched the Ewok Adventure when I had my appendix out in 5th grade.
But yeah,
my mom was like, "It said Star Wars," and I was like, "Oh boy, Star Wars I hadn't seen yet," and I was like, "Oh."
And then your mom's like, "Hey, look, a rare tape I found of the holiday special for Star Wars."
Yes.
Hey, Harrison Ford, do you remember this at all? No.
Scrubs and Arrested Development, I find myself quoting all the time, just because they're so easily quotable.
They are very quotable.
And then the last
that's
one
up
I
there
wanted
with
to mention,
Simpsons and Futurama for me for quotable TV
yeah.
shows.
Another one I wanted to, like the general, like the Marvel shows on Netflix, I find are good. Like even the lows are like low, but I still enjoy watching them because like they're all kind of connected. And Agents of Shield. So like I wanted to say all Marvel shows, but it's really not all Marvel shows. But definitely the Netflix ones and Agents of Shield I really enjoy.
Have you watched all of them at least in part?
I watched all of them. I haven't finished watching the second season of Luke Cage, but I watched all of Agents of Shield and the rest of the Netflix shows.
I'm curious about Cloak and Dagger.
I have not watched
one of the
Cloak and
newer
Dagger.
ones. Okay,
but I heard it was pretty good.
I heard it was good too. I haven't watched any of them other than the first episode of Daredevil, and I loved that.
The first season of Daredevil was like really good. Not necessarily that every season of the other shows went downhill from there, but I think that was a great way for them to start the Netflix Marvel shows.
Good.
Yeah, I heard very good things about it. I watched like the hallway fight scene in Daredevil. That was crazy.
What really got me was the choreography in Daredevil was top notch. It was movie level. I like the production level was that high for Daredevil. So especially the sound mix. And now I normally I'm a tech guy and I'm a film guy, but I mean, just like anybody else, unless a sound mix is particularly bad or extremely good, I don't notice it as a separate feature of a movie or something that I could judge. You know what I mean? So like I noticed how good it was in the first season of Daredevil. I loved it. Really good. It's also more violent than most of the Marvel shows.
The Daredevil show is like, again, based on the fight scene I saw like a couple of them. It is a gritty looking show, and I heard that the Kingpin was like shocking by like Marvel movie standards.
All
like,
the Marvel
just, like,
shows are pretty dark, I would say.
Jessica Jones is like basic plot with Kilgrave. Like I've read the comics that he was in. He was in like 2 or 3, and that plot was fucked.
I heard the Purple Man shows up in Jessica Jones.
That's Kilgrave.
That's Kilgrave.
Oh, okay.
He is fucking scary. Like
you wouldn't want to go up against that guy. Yeah.
Well, you kind of can't. It's like he's a terrifying villain.
Wow, I need to check that out because I heard good things about that particular story as well. I haven't watched any of the Arrowverse either, so I'm from what I understand, there's diminishing returns with that.
The DC shows are hit or miss. Like they have highs and lows. I know my fiance and her sister are watching all of them, and I sit down every now and then. It's not like they're not bad, but I don't think you can watch them, like, binge watch them. Because since they're on CW, there's a lot of drama in it that's, like, eye-rolly.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think they're actually not that bad.
Some Dawson's Creek DNA still thrown in there, huh?
Yeah.
Just like Smallville and all that stuff. It has those shows from, like, the WB and the CW have that precedent. For sure.
Yeah, but those are mine. What about you, Lotus?
Okay. I mean, like, it's been a while since I've watched like live action TV, unless you count stopping over by Luminaires to watch.
I do count that.
Well, okay. I mean, like, because I will throw Arrested Development in there, but
too late. I called it.
Damn it. Okay, I don't have any favorite TV shows. I'm sorry. No, but like, yeah, for comedy, like, I didn't regularly watch Scrubs, but I loved it whenever I saw it. And of course, there's Arrested Development, and I liked Seinfeld back in the day. Like, the humor's kind of, some of the humor's kind of dated now, but I still really enjoy it, and it's also quotable. Probably for serious shows, I'll say the first 2 or 3 seasons, maybe. It's kind of gotten more and more, like, fantastical as we've gone along, but I would say the early seasons of House of Cards, where it was more about politics than, like, let's see what crazy shit we can get away with. Like, even before the Kevin Spacey controversy, season 5 was like, okay. But seasons 1 and 2 especially, and kind of 3, were damn good on House of Cards. Otherwise, stuff I've been watching recently, I don't know if I put it on favorite shows, but it has some of my favorite moments. Might be like just Game of Thrones. Because, like, I mean, you could talk about the drama and the weird stuff it does, and you'd be right. But there are moments where, like, this is big, important speech moments. Get ready for dramatic speech. And those scenes are so damn good. Like, Charles Dance as Tywin Lannister just commands the room in just about every single scene he's in, which makes sense because his character is supposed to just kind of do that. There's actually a famous scene. People can describe the basic subject matter, and you could probably find it on YouTube that way, where Lord Baelish says, like, chaos is like a ladder. Like, just look up that speech. It's so damn well done and edited. It just, like, it's mesmerizing to watch. The opening scene of season 6, I want to say. The opening scene of season 6, it's like, it's the big season opening scene. That montage, I heard, won, like, awards. Or at least an award. It was unreal. So, across the board, I very much like the show. I don't know if I would consider it the best show ever, but, like, it has some of the best moments ever. Also,
it's also a well-paced show. I mean, they're not drawing it out.
No, yeah, it doesn't feel like padding or anything, which is also good. Also, I've really been a sucker for seasons 1 and 2 of Stranger Things.
I was going to say, we really enjoyed watching at least the first season. I didn't see the second one with you.
I still like the second, and assuming they're continuing their pattern of releasing on Halloween, I eagerly await season 3. Because, man, you've got my attention. Again, that's one of those things where season 2 opens with a scene where something happens that's reminiscent of season 1, but you're like, oh, that's different. I don't know what this is, and therefore it's way scarier.
And the way season 2 ended was pretty crazy, too.
Yes. Yes, it was.
See, I don't know quite yet. I want to watch season 2. I haven't seen it yet, but, I want to do it in preparation for season 3 so we can watch that.
You should. The other thing I'll throw out is probably... I gotta think about that. Well, you know what? Like, it really felt like, again, like House of Cards. It declined as it went. But the first bunch of seasons of, I would say, Castle.
I was gonna say you really liked that show.
Yeah, I discovered this in like high school. Yeah, the same with me. I eventually kept watching it just so I could see what happens. But like, it definitely took some downturns, and that was because of some behind the scenes like disagreements and things like that. But I just really enjoy the idea of, like, it's a detective. It's like a crime show, except that the main character, well, one of the two main characters, is Richard Castle, and he's an author, and he's just kind of tagging along with the cop who's actually doing the work. But he's like, I'm an author, and like, assuming villains have the sense of the drama that I do when I write my books, I might be able to give semi-educated guesses regarding how this can work out. Like, if this were a novel, this is probably what would happen. And he's got some decent input for that, and he's a smart guy anyway. And it was a really damn fun show, but like...
Sounds like Murder, She Wrote.
Yeah, but it's like a really fun show. But like, the seasons kind of got more and more... They tried to up the drama with this overarching plot, which was a great idea in the beginning, but they kind of kept finding ways to stretch it out, which felt forced. And then the last season of the show, I don't think was supposed to be the last season. I think it was like the series finale really felt like a season finale. It really felt like a season finale. Like, it was like a cliffhanger, but then it shows, like, obviously added in post, like, photo montage or maybe a small video clip montage of, like, the ultimate aftermath, not even the immediate aftermath, just the ultimate aftermath, and it's like, well, then why did you lead up to it with a cliffhanger? So, like, the show just kind of ended, and it was obvious that it abruptly ended. I thought, like, because it ended with, like, did this person die? And then you see, like, this montage. It was like the end of Taxi Driver, where I'm like, are they actually dead? Did these people actually die? And I'm seeing, like, what I would have loved to see in my head, or did they live and this is just really wonky editing because they had no choice but to do it. So, like, the series finale was really abrupt and disappointing, but I did like early seasons.
Yeah, I liked it. I think one of the reasons why I started watching it is because I like Nathan Fillion, which reminds me of Firefly.
Yeah.
It's another good show.
Yeah, there was actually an episode where they heavily referenced Firefly, which was pretty amusing. They went to, like, some sci-fi convention, or they went to the set of some sci-fi show that was not Firefly, and it's like, I see what you did there. Like, I kind of get a kick out of when shows do that, but like, and the chemistry between the two leads was really great, but then behind the scenes stuff happened, like, later, so, like, the show's quality suffered. Like, they were rarely on set together, and, like, you can kind of tell they were doing very branching storylines as they went. So I would say the first few seasons, though, still
it's kind of like in
really
Martin,
good.
Martin that happened. You know, the Martin Lawrence sitcom.
Oh yeah,
like the actress who played his wife on the show, like, basically had an open, like, sexual discrimination, like, dispute going on with Martin Lawrence at the time.
Wow.
And, like, basically got way out of hand, his pursuit of her, and to the point where they had to film on separate sets. And
Oh,
they
wow.
were supposed to be married.
That's ridiculous.
So even the final episode, like, they weren't on the same set with each other.
Ooh.
And that their marriage was, like, the whole impetus of the TV show.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it's just
That's awkward.
very obvious that they didn't want to be near each other.
Yeah. Well, it's like that 70s show when, like, Topher Grace left. It's like, but oh, by the way, one other show I really enjoyed, and I'll, like, if I ever happen to see it on TV, I'll still watch it, is The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Like, I love that show.
Oh,
That
yeah.
is a high quality
It's a
show.
classic.
That is a damn good show. And they had, like, meta jokes every once in a while. Like, I wonder who's playing Aunt Vivian this season. it was funny as hell.
Little Nicky, you sure did grow up over the course
Yeah, he
of
was like
6
a
months.
baby last season, and now he's like 3. You're like, wait. Also, if we're so rich, how come we can't afford no ceilings? And you look up and you see, like, the stage lights, and you're like, come on, man. One of my favorite jokes in that entire show was when Will Smith went off to confront this character they've never named before. And it was, like, some bully of his. But, like, you've never heard of this character. And they mentioned this in, like, this was not season 1. This was, like, way later. And Carlton's like, oh, who's this guy? And Will Smith's like, oh, you know, the guy who was lifting me and spinning me over his head in the opening credits. And, like, you immediately know what that means. I was like, oh, shit. It was amazing.
Very funny.
It's so good. That was, like, that show, and that show could be legitimately emotional as well. It had some serious moments in it.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
it was not afraid to not hold back.
Yeah, no, Will Smith definitely showed his acting chops in that show, for sure.
Yeah,
especially that episode about his dad.
The dad, yeah. What's funny, though, by the way, I don't think he was thinking of this in particular, but in general, I heard Will Smith say he was kind of embarrassed to, like, watch his, like, performance on the show, because he was very like, oh, you know what I'm saying, It's not even close to how he acts now, but I still love that freaking show. That show is so good.
Oh, it's a classic, and it will be for a long time.
And Carlton was, like, the dorkiest guy in the world. Like, again, one of
Put
my
a little cut into my my trick or treating.
He's just off his fucking Kevin McAllister for Halloween. No, but what I also really liked, though, was when there was a proposition of some, like, new buddy of his coming over, and they're like, well, maybe you could stay the night. And Carlton's like, oh, that would be amazing. We could stay up all night and play Clue. And they just, like, really cracked me up. It's like, okay.
I love that.
What a dork. It was freaking great. But that's a show I think I might have actually seen every single episode. And not because I, like, bought the DVDs and marathoned it. Like, I think they used to play a bunch of episodes in a row, like, on weeknights. I think just from that, I think I've just seen the entire show. Just, like, in pieces. And I'm happy I did. It was freaking great.
Me too.
Yeah.
Well, this is a great topic because, as time goes on, we're gonna have more and more favorite shows, and not only that, but I'm sure we didn't touch on all of our favorite shows. I mean, I still have plenty of stuff from back in my childhood that I would love to talk about. But we only have so much time in a single episode for this. Plus, we have all of our regular segments to go through. So, I think we can even revisit this topic in the future, and especially with a different group of people as well. So I think this is a great topic to continue on. I'd love to hear also the audience's favorite TV shows, because I especially want to hear some unusual picks, because there are a lot of really great popular shows out there, but like Fargo's kind of an underground cult hit show.
Well, I mean, it was like well, no, it was on TV. It was like FX or something, right?
It's on FX. Yeah.
But after that, it just kind of disappeared and was like, you have to watch it on Hulu.
Yeah. So my feeling is I want more quirky, awesome shows like that and Twin Peaks. Twin Peaks is another one that's like that.
I gotta watch Twin Peaks.
Yeah, I saw the first season and that's it. With Twin Peaks,
I almost want to watch it like as a guide for like Deadly Premonition.
Exactly. Yeah, and a lot of other things that have been inspired by it. Link's Awakening on Game Boy is inspired by Twin Peaks.
Oh wow.
And in fact, I would say that the whole rest of the Zelda series has been widely influenced by the quirky characters in Link's Awakening. So in a way, Twin Peaks is a huge influence on the way Breath of the Wild is right now. So
I'm still going with Peter Pan and F. Scott Fitzgerald.
No.
No. All right.
I just want to quickly mention Vise's weigh-in. I actually have stayed very stable at 254, so I'm continuing on. But I've actually started cooking a lot more recently, more of my own meals, because I have a normal schedule of 9 to 5 now.
That's true. Yeah.
So a lot healthier meals are being cooked. And I just feel better. So I still need to get to the gym. That is the thing that I am just not good at getting myself to do. So, but I will hop on the horse for that. I just need to make it happen. But we can move on to fan responses. Why don't you take away, Lotus?
Yeah, we have one. This is in regard to what weird food quirks do we have. So Dracologist says, I started, and I think Lotus would approve, using barbecue sauce. I also started to eat tortilla chips in my burgers. It gives a unique texture, and the peppery taste kind of makes it nice. That reminds me of Bobby's Burger Palace. That you could order like crunchified burgers, where I mean, it sounds like it's more than it is. They just put chips on the burger, but it does provide you with a new texture.
I personally really like chips on a tuna sub or hoagie.
Interesting.
I love that. Yeah, and that's like one of the only
the salt's like
sandwiches
complements the rest of it.
That's exactly right. It's one of the only types of sandwiches that I like that with it on, but it makes it that much better, especially if it's like salt and vinegar.
I definitely agree.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Now here's where it gets more quirky. I also eat confectionery by component, like pastry whipped cream layer, then the cream, like that kind of thing.
Oh wow.
Regarding Old Man Stompy, he was talking about how he like avoids blueberries because of like childhood trauma.
One of my favorite corrective consciousness moments was last week. Please go back to it.
Yeah, so he says, to Old Man Stompy, the way you eat food apparently is associated with pessimism or something, but I also do eat food like that, relish, rice, potato, and then the meat. I eat pizza from the crust, but only if I have silverware available. If I have to use hands, then I would hold it by the crust.
My fiance actually eats it crust first, no matter what.
Okay.
Even if there's no cheese filling or anything like that?
Correct.
Wow. I never knew that.
Yep.
Alright, so regarding fan questions, we have one from Fakafon. What video game music feels the most final boss-y to you? It doesn't have to be actual last boss music. For me, it's probably the Ultimate Beings theme in Parasite Eve. Yeah, can confirm. let anyone hear that and they'll immediately go, oh yeah, that's a final boss theme. So you guys have any takes on this?
I mean, personally, these are actual final boss themes, so let me just say the one. The final boss music in Final Fantasy VI, Dancing Mad, is definitely
Oh my god.
final boss music.
That's one of those things where I think you realize that it's final boss music. Like you got like the church organ playing and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, but I think like overall most Final Fantasies and like definitely most of the Mega 10 games have really good final boss music. But in terms of like what I feel makes good final boss music is like that it sounds epic and that it sounds like if you don't do something, the world's gonna end.
See, I have that vibe, but there also is the Ultimate Being theme and the final boss of Dark Souls, where the music sounds surprisingly low key, but it makes sense for what it is. Like the final boss music for Dark Souls is like kind of sad and pathetic, but it really works. Like it is intentionally sad and pathetic. I might like this is a weird game to reference. It was way bigger when it came out, but I don't know how many people really know about it today. The final boss music of the first Xenosaga. It's called I think it's just called Last Battle. That's a big deal. Also, this is music where if you play it by itself, I don't think this is the kind of thing you'd want to jam like in the car, you know, but like when you hear it in context, the final boss of Eternal Darkness works for where you are. Like if you see it, I think it works better, but it kind of has this like, it sounds like it's slowly building up, but it never reaches a climax, but you're like, it's coming, and it kind of works in that regard. Otherwise,
I think one of my favorite final boss musics is in Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne, so the third one. The first one on PS2, like that one has, I'm trying to remember it. Not that I'm not gonna sing it for all of you, but it's. I remember that was like really, really epic sounding, and I mean like most of those games too. The final boss is a god that you're fighting, so that definitely the music is trying to sound godly. But that one I think is one that I really enjoyed the most.
Actually, if I had to pick out a couple more, I might go with, from The Binding of Isaac, Hush. It's not usually a final boss, but when that music plays, you really feel that you're in it to win it. Same goes with, like, the boss Rush theme. But, I thought I had one, but I think I lost it.
Oh, and so also, connecting to kind of, like, last week's topics, the King K, first King K. Rool.
That was a good one when the hard music kicks in.
Yeah.
No, you know what I'll also go with? This might seem a little weird, but considering it's a music game, you're like, yeah, that's the final boss music. One of the Guitar Heroes, the final boss is the devil, and you play like a hard rock, like three. So you play like a hard rock or like thrashy guitar version of The Devil Went Down to Georgia. So it's like and like. You know what the song is, but it's like a hardcore version of it. I actually prefer the original version just to listen to it, but with this version, within the context of Guitar Hero, you're like, oh shit, it's on now, and that's a brutally hard song too.
Probably my favorite for this topic is the boss music in Streets of Rage 2.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so, like, you can experience this basically whenever there's a boss fight. But it is a fantastic boss theme, and it's really, really great amping up music. And then the final boss is a remix of that that's even more epic.
Well, the final boss's theme, I think, is a remix of Streets of Rage 1 final boss's theme.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. It's the same final boss. Although I actually will give a shout out to Shiva. His theme, Maxman.
Yeah.
Like, what's also cool about that is you feel the tension in the context, too. Because you rise up in the elevator, you see Mr. X just sitting there in his throne, like, and this big guy, Shiva, is just standing next to him. You're like, who's this guy? And after you beat a couple of goons, Mr. X raises his hand, and Shiva steps out, and you're like, oh. Like, Shiva
you're going to get your ass kicked. Let's say that.
Yeah, because, like, this is a weird reference to make, but you know the movie Roadhouse?
Roadhouse.
Roadhouse. So, like, remember how the bad guy of Roadhouse also had, like, an evil bouncer who's, like, a martial artist? Like, Shiva's that guy. He's like Axel, but, like, with flaming kicks instead of punches, and you're like, oh, no.
Yeah, you gotta be scared of the right-hand man. The right-hand man is, like...
Yeah, because sometimes, especially the right-hand man, because sometimes the final boss is just an old rich guy... Like, and it's all about the right-hand man. Mm-hmm. Like, I've mentioned this several times before, but the guy you never even see in Final Fantasy XIV, who's paying Yojimbo to fight you, so you're like, oh fuck, I gotta fight Yojimbo.
It's like in oh jeez, in Kingsman, like the
oh yeah, the Blade Woman.
Yeah, what's her name?
I don't remember, Gazelle, but she was like the best part of that movie.
Yeah, Gazelle is the right-hand man of Samuel L. Jackson in the movie.
God damn, she was cool.
She is an awesome right-hand man. Really,
Opening scene,
really cool.
She just cuts a guy in half. You're like, oh.
Also, you could even go and as far as say that Go-Go from Kill Bill's like
Go-Go
that
Habar.
as well.
She was... Well, the funny thing is the final boss was also a very talented fighter, but Go-Go... Like, watch that movie again. Go-Go has the stare of death. Like, before she starts fighting, when she has that, like, I'm gonna get you look, like, that dead-eyed stare, it is off-putting.
Yeah. Real cool. But, yeah, I think, my favorite has to go with Streets of Rage 2. That boss music, it like, really amps you up, and you know what kind of, stakes are at hand whenever that music kicks in. So I think that's really fitting.
Yeah.
Any final remarks, guys?
I mean, there's a million video games with a million incredible final boss fight themes. It depends on the mood. Sometimes I'm in the mood for, like, super hardcore, like, you're feeling it now music, but sometimes the low-key, like, you've gone through so much, it'll all be over when you beat this boss. That music can really work too. Like, for example, because I just beat it, like, Nier has so much of Nier's soundtrack is
so good.
Surprisingly laid back, including dungeon themes. Like, regular boss music has hardcore themes, but, like, even the final boss is not, like, super intense. It's like, here's some nice music for you to fight with. So it has the effect. It can sometimes be story dependent. Like, again, for Parasite Eve, when you realize what you're dealing with the final boss in New Game Plus, that's a much different theme from the Ultimate Being's, like, early themes. So what you're going for, I guess, can be dependent on the music. Like, in The Binding of Isaac, what used to, like, the final boss of the chest... Not in Isaac Rebirth, in the original Binding of Isaac, was this sad, pathetic, like, it'll all be over soon theme. Or maybe it was the Cathedral theme, I forgot. But the Cathedral theme was freaking intense in Rebirth. And I love that theme, but it's a very different effect. So, take your pick.
All right. Well, please list some of your thoughts in the comments on what you think of this topic. I think it's fascinating, and I would like to hear some off the beaten path ones, because I think there's potential here, especially for games that a lot of us haven't played. So that is the show for this week. We want to thank our fans who contributed questions. Please keep us supplied with awesome topics by submitting questions of your own via the YouTube and SoundCloud pages. While there, please give us thumbs ups, likes, and 5-star ratings on iTunes. It helps promote and spread awareness of the show, and any bit of encouragement helps keep the show going. You can also catch us on Tuesdays on our sister podcast, Corrective Consciousness, the in-depth look at this week in our lives. Finally, you can find me as vysethebold on Steam, PSN, Xbox Live, Twitter, Switch, Battle.net, and boy am I tired.
And you can follow me on my YouTube channel, Lotus Prince. You can hit me up on Twitter at Lotus Prince. And finally, if you are interested in seeing my videos early, getting in on exclusive live streams, selecting upcoming games for me to Let's Play, or even getting involved on a Discord with me and other patrons, then perhaps consider swinging by my Patreon account, which can be found at patreon.com/LotusPrince.
And I'm PyroJackFrost. You can find me on PSN, Battle.net, or Steam as PyroJackFrost or Cloudoid540.
Great. Well, we will catch you on Tuesday, everyone, for a new episode of Reactive.
Until next time, everyone.
Bye.